Hello, good afternoon. You're watching Market Fatafat on ET now with me, Vinny Motiwala, along with me, Shell D'Souza as well. And Shell, markets holding on to the 21,700 levels, trying to inch up. But yes, around those levels and, just maintaining that sideways movement right now around that.
Absolutely, Vinny. If you look at the markets holding steady with gains, when you talk about the benchmark indices, Nifty Bank outperforming the benchmark indices as of now once again. But if you look at the broader markets, they are taking a bit easy. But what would be key to note is they've also seen a smart recovery from the day's lowest point, be it your mid-cap index or the small-cap index. Both of them are seeing pretty good recovery from the day's low, because at one point in time, they were seeing downtick of as much as 1% or so. There you go on your screen, recovery coming in for the broader markets. If you talk about the sectoral indices, metal index is actually reeling under pressure, 2.8% downtick for metal index, and one of the sole contributor to that sort of a downtick has to be Hindalco. A short while from now, we'll tell you why Hindalco has been falling in trade today. But apart from that, your power index that's taking a bit easy. But on the flip side, now you have the PSU Bank index that's spared some of their early morning gains, trading with gains now by 0.8% or so. You have energy index also holding on to good gains.
Technical analyst and derivative research analyst at Angel One. While from the research team today, we have Snehi as well as Ankita joining in with us. A very good afternoon to all three of y'all as well. Let me start with the first stock that we're going to talk about, an earnings candidate, that's Gujarat Pipava. This one has reported a strong set of numbers in Q3. The stock went up as much as 4% intraday as of now, off the day's highest point, but managing to hold on to gains of almost 2%. Let's look at the breakdown in terms of numbers. Revenue saw a growth of around 8%, profits saw a jump up of around 38%, while the margins saw a bit of a contraction coming in. But all in all, it was a strong set of numbers when you look at it with the estimates that were there on the street. Gujarat Pipava managed to report a strong number, and that is why we saw the run-up coming in the stock in early morning trade. But as of now, a bit subdued from this day's highest point. Still 2% gain is what it's holding on to.
Alright, next up, let's talk about SAIL, because that one also is an earnings candidate. If you look at SAIL, the numbers actually saw the stock actually fall quite a bit, 5% downtick on an intraday basis. No doubt the stock has spared losses as of now. The company reported a 22% fall in the consolidated net profit. This is on back of the higher imports, led to a drop in both volume sales as well as prices, while the revenue from operations fell nearly 7% for that particular counter. So on back of that, you see the stock is under pressure. 3.5% downtick coming in for SAIL because of the downtick coming in on the key crucial numbers.
Okay, let's move on and talk about Coforge then. And Osho, in terms of Coforge, what's the outlook? Because in the last 1 month, when you look at it, it's remained quite flattish. So from here on, are we expecting an up move again?
Very good afternoon, everyone. Well, talking about the technical charts of Coforge, then if we will be looking at the overall view, the counter has been scaling higher in the cycle of higher highs, higher lows pattern. So from here onwards also, we have seen a decent volume in last trading session, which is approximately 3 or 4 times of the average trading volumes. Today, the counter is subdued, muted, but overall the dimension remains positive. So from here onwards, we are expecting that in the short run, near about 6750 to 6800 can be seen in this counter in the coming 1 to 2 trading session. Overall, the position for this counter is still very positive, hovering above the 21-day exponential moving average, which is a very positive development, and mid-cap ITs are expected to perform very well from here onwards. So that's why one should definitely keep their eye on Coforge, and in the coming time, we can expect a decent up rally in this counter.
Alright, moving on, let's talk about one particular stock that is reeling under pressure once again, and that has to be Paytm, Snehi. And what's new today? Why is the stock under pressure?
Or Paytm's share price. They say that Paytm faces a serious risk of customer exodus after that diktat that came in from RBI and the RBI's curbs. They're saying that 60 to 65% decline in revenues is expected due to the payments and distribution revenue that will be seeing a downtick going ahead. And they're saying that the channel checks reveal that the lending partners are also reconsidering their relationship with Paytm, and they are also expected to move to other payments merchants and other lenders as well. The loss is estimated to rise by 170% for FY25 and 40% for FY26. 26. This is the word coming in from Macquarie, and they're also assuming a 50% cash burn rate at a 20 times forward PE multiple to normalize earnings. So they're saying that so much amount of cash will have to be burnt if going ahead Paytm want to normalize their earnings. So on the back of this negative note that's coming in from Macquarie, the stock is down and out in trade today, almost 10% lower as we speak.
That's about Paytm, but let's talk about another mid-cap IT name that you've picked out, Osho, is Mphasis. Similar to when you look at Coforge as well as Mphasis, last 1 month this mid-cap IT has also not done anything. So in terms of view for Mphasis also, is it similar to Coforge?
See, overall, if I'll be talking about the last 1 month, then this counter is in the time-wise correction phase. Because if we will be talking on the recent development, then this counter has seen a very aggressive movement from the zone of 2100 odd levels towards 2750 odd levels. So that means there has been 600 point of movement in this counter, duration of 2 trading weeks, then up to 2 trading months. Then from there onwards, we are witnessing some kind of time-wise correction phase in this counter, but looking at the technical parameters, this is on the verge of a sloping trend line breakout. So above 2650, 2660 on the spot levels, we can see a strong traction coming in this counter for the higher target of nearly 2750 on immediate basis, followed by 2800 and even 2900. So overall, the structure looks very promising, and this consolidation should be seen as a very healthy development for this counter, and in the coming time we can see its outperformance to the market.
Alright, let's move on. Let's talk about the top nifty loser for the day, and that has to be Hindalco. Ankita, why is the stock actually under such pressure?
Well, yes, Hindalco is under a lot of pressure. In fact, it's knocked down 14% in trade right now. This happened after Novelis, that's a wholly owned subsidiary, a US-based wholly owned subsidiary of Hindalco, posted its number. Now, what's wrong with the numbers? The numbers were in line, but what happened was that Novelis has lowered its return guidance for Bay Minette, which is a project to double digits from an earlier mid-teens, and also the company announced an additional capex for the project, which came as a big shocker for the street. Now, if you look at the Novelis's Q3 numbers, they have reported 3% on a year-on-year basis. The net sales came in at $3.9 billion for the third quarter. Couple of brokerage notes also came out today for Novelis and Hindalco. Jefferies is maintaining a buy with a target price of 725 rupees. Kotak Equities recommends an add for Hindalco with a target price of 535 rupees. JM Financials also maintains a buy with a target price of 610 rupees per share. Also, Hindalco is expected to report its Q3 numbers anytime soon now, and we are expecting the results to be, the standalone revenue is expected to be coming in at 20,000 crores versus pretty flattish, and so is the profit expected to be pretty flat for Hindalco in trade today. But for now, the stock is knocked down at least 14% in trade.
Okay, that's Hindalco. Surely we'll be keeping an eye out on those standalone numbers for Hindalco that will be reported in a short while from now as well. Let's move on, talk about Bayer Crop then. And Osho, in terms of charts, what is the expectation? Last 6 months, the stock has seen a decent run up, 28% uptick is what we are seeing. What is the expectation now?
See, overall, if we will be seeing on the weekly time perspective, then this counter is on the verge of giving a very strong breakout, multi-week breakout. So from here onwards, one can expect the rally to continue, but in the near period, 6100 is the resistance zone. Once it surpasses the zone of 6100, then from there onwards, one can expect near about 300 to 350 odd points of up movement in this counter. But again, we have seen a very vertical rally in this counter from the zone of 3800 towards 6100 odd levels. So one should not be very much complacent. There can be some kind of breather that can be seen in this counter, but that should be considered as a healthy development, and one should definitely try to gauge on every dip for this counter for the higher targets of nearly 6500 from medium term time frame.
Alright, so that's the take coming in on Bayer Crop. On that note, we slip into a break in this edition of Market Fatafat. More stocks to discuss on the other side. Don't go anywhere.
Welcome back, and you're watching Market Fatafat on ET now. Let's just mark some of the earnings that have just come in right now. And we have Medi Assist, that's a newly listed company, and that reported its numbers. When you're looking at it in terms of the revenue of the company, that's seen a growth. Profits have remained flat on a year-on-year basis. But on the operating performance fund, the EBITDA margins, that has seen a contraction of around 400 basis point contraction on that front. EBITDA margins on a year-on-year basis is what we're seeing for BLS International. The stock is buzzing away in trade as of now, holding on to gains of more than 2% as of now after a strong set of numbers.
All right, that's BLS International for you. Osho, coming to you, Metropolis Healthcare, that one you are charting for us. How is it looking to you technically?
Metropolis Healthcare is witnessing a kind of a rounding bottom formation, and the positive front is there has been a strong duration in which the formation is taking place. So we are expecting that from here onwards the counter is approximately on the verge of breakout. Technically we have to just wait for another 15 odd points. 1730 will give us the confirmation of a breakout. So once we witness the levels crossing the zone of 1730 on a decisive closer manner, so from there onwards one can expect a very strong up move. On immediate basis, 2000 is the target that one can expect. Again, from medium term perspective, for short term duration, 1800 to 1860 should be the target that one can look for as from a trading point of view.
All right, let's move on and let's put the spotlight on Bharat Forge, because that is sulking in trade today again. Remember, this is the second day in a row that the stock has seen a sharp downtick, and you have a lot of brokerages also that come out with their views on Bharat Forge after their earnings. You have CLSA, which is mentioning that the growth moderation is what they are expecting going ahead. No doubt that the Q3 earnings were above the estimates, but the growth momentum to slow for Bharat Forge's standalone earnings is what they are actually mentioning while writing writing that report on that particular counter. They have actually maintained a sell stance with a slight change in their target price from 987 to about 977 rupees per share. But apart from that, if you look at it, you have a series of other brokerage houses also that have come up with their views. If you look at Elara Capital, they are saying that they flagged off tepid volume growth, while Phillip Capital is seeing a moderation of growth in near term. Nuvama is saying the weakening of the European as well as US economies pose a challenge ahead for the core segments such as oil and gas, and therefore this coupled with a lower MHCV and PV growth will lead to the moderation of revenue as well as EBITDA coming in for Bharat Forge for FY 23-26. So if you look at the stock, it's fallen for second consecutive day, and the 2-day fall is the most in about 4 years. So that is Bharat Forge for you.
Okay, let's move on to the next one. And Osho, Readington, that's a stock today that is buzzing away in trade. 8.5% gains is what we're seeing today itself. From here on, currently at 198 rupees per share, is it still a buy call?
Looking at the overall technical setup, then in the month of February, there has been a lot of volatility in this counter that has been backed by strong volumes. So we are expecting that because we have already witnessed approximately 15 to 18% kind of a move, it has again recouped on the very strong note. So we are expecting that from here onwards, it has the potential to reach the 210 mark once again. And once it surpasses the zone of 210, then from there onwards, it can again move for approximately 15 to 20 odd points on the higher end. So one should definitely buy this counter or accumulate this counter, keeping a stop loss of nearly 180 on the higher front. 240, 235 should be the target for short-term traders.
Okay, that's Readington, but let's move on. And Snehi, KIOCR reported its numbers today. What are they looking like?
Absolutely, Winnie. Numbers came out a short while ago, around 12 o'clock today, and that's when the stock did see a very, very sharp spike. If you could have the chart on the screen, that's when the stock was up almost as high as 10% or 9%, and now it has come down, but it continues to build on to those gains. There you have it. There's the chart on the screen. You can see the sharp spike over there. This on the back of a very good set of numbers. In fact, revenue has come in at 549 crore versus 288 crore, up almost 91% on a year-on-year basis. EBITDA has become positive now at 35.8 crore versus an EBITDA loss of 43 crore this time last year. And profit also has now, the company has now become profitable at 39 crore versus a loss that they had logged in at 33.8 crore this time last year. as well. Margins also looking good at that 6.5% level. So well, overall results have come out well. They've also appointed a new CFO effective immediately. Somen Das Gupta has been appointed as the CFO effective immediately. So well, yes, on the back of a stellar set of numbers and that loss reversing into a profit, the stock did see a
that has remained subdued. A decline of 1% is coming in the profits of the company. EBITDA performance seems like it's in line with what we were expecting at ET now. EBITDA is at 1,963 crores versus 1,946 crore. Year-on-year basis, when you're comparing it, EBITDA has seen a growth on a year-on-year basis. EBITDA has seen a growth of 12%. Profits also seems like largely in line, and revenue slight bit better on that front, but yes, almost in line to better is what we could say in terms of the ET now poll that we have as well. So all in all, seems like the standalone numbers were in line with what we were expecting, but I believe we do have an Aditya Velekar joining in with us, Senior Research Analyst at Axis Securities, also joining in with us. Aditya, thank you so much for joining in with us this afternoon on ET Now. Now, obviously, what we saw was a knee-jerk kind of a reaction that actually came in for Hindalco this morning because of Novelis's numbers and the commentary actually that came in. Now, what is the outlook that you're believing that is there for Hindalco in terms of overall the India operations, the standalone basis? How are you looking at it right now?
Yeah, so the aluminium EBITDA numbers have come ahead of our estimate. So aluminium upstream EBITDA is 2,443 crores, which is a growth on a year-on-year and sequential basis. So I think that is reflecting the strength from lower thermal coal cost in the quarter. Copper EBITDA has also exceeded our expectation at 656 crores. So there is a surprise on that front also. Novelis has already reported its EBITDA, and it is largely in line at 3,783 crores. So overall, a good set of numbers on EBITDA front. Of course, the market has reacted negatively on the news of capex escalation at Bay Minette, and that will definitely remain an overhang for the stock for a certain period, especially given that they have pushed the commissioning of the project towards the second half of calendar year 26, and incremental capex, the probability of that, the management is certain that 85% that they will be able to manage with that capex. So that kind of overhang remains. But at the same time, the Indian operations is largely stable, and aluminium prices are expected to remain range bound. We don't see much downward pressure on the prices from this level. So not a significant upside. We expect we have a target price of rupees 660, and we will revisit that post the con call, which is at 4 p.m. now.
All right, Aditya, thank you so much for joining us on the show to give your first cut on Hindalco numbers, saying that you will revisit the target once the con call is done. And yes, no doubt Novelis going ahead and increasing that capex will remain like an overhang on the stock. If you look at the stock price, trying to make some sort of a recovery, but not that much as of now. Still down about 12%, in line several numbers coming in for Hindalco on a standalone basis. On that note, we slip into a break on this edition of Market Fatafat. Stay tuned, more on the other side.